Alright you guys, welcome back to another deck profile. Today we're going to be going over the Sleep deck. Now the Sleep deck, initially we thought this deck was going to be horrible, but we found out that this deck is actually a little bit better than we initially projected. It's not like amazing by any stretch, but it's also not the worst deck. I think with a little bit of extra TLC, this deck could actually do some damage. Frankly though, we don't know what TLC it is, and it probably takes away from the whole concept of Sleep, but hey, you can use this video as like a starting point for a new concept. Initially when I built this deck, I just kind of took everything that had to relate to Sleep, put it on one big page, and just figured out how it would work in combination with each other. I didn't come up with a whole lot of things, but what I came up with worked for a little bit. So keep that in mind when I'm talking about this list, because like I said, this is not super refined, could be a lot better. Use it as a starting point. It is going to revolve around Darkrai. A lot of the Darkrai's do have sort of sleep abilities. This one says put 1 damage between sleep Pokemon. This one says when you bench it, your opponent's active Pokemon is asleep. That sort of thing. Auto sleep. This one has an attack that says does 80, and they have to flip 2 between turns to wake up from sleep. And then this one's got other just sleep stuff. It's really not that great. But you play it so that you can have extra Pokemon to level X. This is actually really good. This is a way better card than I initially gave it credit for. It makes it all of your dark energies, your basic dark energies, makes them special darks all of a sudden. So this guy makes everything do an extra 10 damage, which can rack up really quick with a whole lot of extra stuff. So instead of building a Sleep deck, I would recommend building a Darkrai deck and having that go ham. But this is the Sleep deck, that's what we're talking about. You're going to be level upping these ones. You can't level up this because it's the G, but you can level up these guys and just start swinging. A side note, if you level up this one, you get lower HP, which is kind of funny. But they all have sleep sort of abilities. We're going to play a lot of dark Pokemon here. We are going to play a 1/1 Hypno line. This guy is long distance hypnosis from the, if you're familiar with the new card, that's Boundaries Crossed. Muna has the same ability, flip a coin of heads, they're asleep, tails, you're asleep. And then this Hypno puts both active Pokemon asleep. So you have auto sleep that way. And one way to get around it is with Russian Retreat Zora. So that you put your own to sleep, you stand in retreat, and you are no longer asleep. But this, and combined with the Darkrai, you can deal some pretty serious damage. Plus this gives you that extra 10 damage when you play the break. So you can kind of see where this is going. It mainly is just like, I'm going to put him to sleep. Hopefully I can do more damage, just chunk damage, because you have the one that does plus 10 to sleep Pokemon. So this, in effect, is a plus 10 damage. This adds 10 damage to all of your attacks. You can start really racking that up. There aren't enough basic Pokemon that I've found that can benefit from that. Especially this Mew. I thought this Mew was going to be able to, but it doesn't benefit from level X. It's just a good way of copying attacks. This Snorlax is what you play in Standard now for Sleep decks that use this Hypno. It does 30 plus 90 if you're asleep. It's a non-EX, so it's pretty cool that you can deal out 120 damage for 3 energies, which is pretty good for a non-EX Pokemon. If they have a D value, you can do it for a DCE with Mew. It's just more stuff that I found with Sleep. We're playing Dark Energies, so I like playing 1 Spiritomb Steam Siege for some cool surprise plays where you bench it, Dark Patch, and you damage play all their damage over to their bench sitters. But the real star of the deck, I kind of blasted through everything, is this Yveltal. Everyone knows Baby Yveltal. At Nationals in 2014, I think it was, I played this with bats. I lost my win-in to day 2 because I found Mega Manetric, but it's a similar concept where you're dealing 30 damage and you're just racking up that damage with a whole lot of other things: Sleep, Darkrai level X, Stadium, that sort of thing. So the same concept rings true of just like a cheap attack for 30, all of a sudden dealing like 70, 80 damage. I think there's a better way of abusing it, and you could build the deck around this Yveltal and other dark Pokemon that only attack for 1 energy. So think about that when you're trying to build this deck. Not bad like I did, but this is the reason the card's good. It is a non-EX. The original printing of Yveltal was non-hollow. So this Yveltal isn't an EX, which is awesome. I know I kind of blasted the sleep section of it, but think about low, cheap attack costs with that Darkrai plus other dark support. So, going to quickly go through their stuff. You have your standard 10 bench-sitting Pokemon in Porygon 2. You have Dunsparce Spiritomb for good starters, Lapras Uxie for mid to late games, draw support and consistency. U150 is all about consistency. You got Claydolls, Porygons, the whole 9 here. Download Porygon is bananas in every single deck. Super, super good card. Moving on to Stadium or supporters, you're going to see a lot of standard stuff here, so bear with me. You got Chorus, Teammates, Skyla, Guzma, Oaks, and Bebes, all standard looking stuff. N, Sycamore, Juniper, Karina, Trump Card, and Lysander. Again, very standard across the board. If you need any further explanation, please ask. Copycat, Rosies, Collector, Hex, AZ instead of Brimies. I don't know why. You could go with Brimies, to be honest. And then Oracle or Mallow. And then Marlies, Rockets, Wally, and Sages is like the last, like, you know, we needed one more supporter to kind of round things out. Sages is a good one. It's either Sages or Lookers is like the, I don't know, what is this? 6, 12, 18, 22, 22nd supporter, I guess. 21 seems low in a lot of decks. 22 is fine. So Sages or Lookers are your two options there, with the rest of these being very, very standard across the board. Twins, I think, would be the other one that I would consider as like a final supporter. But supporters, very not interesting. This deck, when we built it, I built it in like 5 minutes because I was like, ugh, this deck sucks. But it's a lot better, and it does need to be refined. I'm just giving you the basic vanilla list so that you can go home and work with it. And please tell me what you come up with, because it's going to be better than this abysmalness. Misty's Wrath. You play Laser in this deck because you can put him to sleep with a Heads Flip. Plus, like I said, low energy attachments can rack up the damage with this. Scoop Up. Compressor will throw dark energies in your discard pile so that you can Dark Patch them. Switch. Item Finder. You want to play extra switching cards. Escape Rope's going to make them no longer asleep, so Hypno, you're going to want to play Switch to get out of that sleep that you would impose on yourself. Level Ball. Evo Soda, Luxury Ball, Acrobike, P-Com, Versus Seeker. Again, all standard looking stuff here. Windstorm, Retriever, Ultra Ball, Super Rod, Powpad, Oak, all standard stuff. And just a couple more things here. Computer Search, Junk Arms, Swoop, Imposter Oak's Invention, and Bill. All very standard. You'll see them in a lot of decks. You'll notice there's no Escape Rope or Warp Point because, like I said, when you Hypno them, you want them to stay asleep. So you have the switching cards of Zoroark plus just Switch instead of Escape Rope and Warp Point. I feel like it works better that way. But that's just me. Non-standard items, you have Max Potion, because I said before, low energy costing attacks that ramp up the damage. Since you're attacking for 1 energy, being able to Max Potion your Yveltal and then attach an energy and swing again, super awesome. Level Max and Premier Ball, because that Darkrai level X is very important in this strategy. If you don't have it out, you're not dealing damage, so you're going to need it. You have this card from Rockets, Sleep. Silver Coin has your opponent's active Pokemon now asleep. It's Hypnotoxic Laser without the poison. Probably not the best card in the world, but I put it in for the LOL factor. You definitely can take it out, but I always wanted an excuse to use this card. It's been in my binder since I was a little kid, and now I can finally say that I've played it in a deck of some sort. And then Dark Patch. You're playing Dark. Anything you're playing Dark, you want to play Dark Patch. Usually you want to play Aqua Patch and Water decks. There's some decks that's an exception to. But Dark Patch is basically going to go in every single Dark deck, especially to have that surprise Spiritomb Steam Siege come out. So, got that going on there. Stadiums, you're looking at Broken Time Space, Reverse Valley to give all of your Dark Pokemon an extra 10 damage, and then Chaos Tower so that you don't fall asleep with Hypno. That's another way to wake yourself up from Hypno without having to play full heal, and it's a way to, like, I think sleep is on the other side of poison, actually. That's a sleep or paralyzed. Yeah, so you can't play laser to poison them because they are not going to be affected by poison because of Chaos Tower, but it's a good way if you don't have Zoroark out or you are item locked or ability locked or some other thing like that. This is a stadium, very hard to get stadium lock in this format. So it's just an extra way to wake up from sleep, which you are going to be putting yourself under. Tool cards, you got 5 of them here. Floatstone, Muscle Band, very standard looking stuff. Fighting Fury Belt because most of your attackers are basic. EXP Share for that extra energy acceleration that you definitely need in this deck. And then Dark Claw, since you are playing Dark Pokemon, it acts as a second Muscle Band. If I were to say, hey, guess the 5 item cards in this deck, these are the 5 most of you all would guess because it's a very, very simple looking thing. Dowsing Machine and the 4 here, in every single deck. And then to round out this video here, there are 2 special energies are going to be DCE and Special Dark to add more damage, and you have a couple DCE reliant attacks. And Dark energies, we're going to be looking at 11 of those guys. I think that's enough. No reason to go more. You probably, if you were to focus this deck more on the less damage, the less energy for like ramping up damage for Darkrai level X and that sort of thing, more stuff like Yveltal, then you could even cut down 1 or 2 of these to find room for cool stuff like that. So that's it. That's Sleep Deck. Very, very simple, standard-looking thing that actually does a lot because of this Darkrai. Find different ways to play this deck, and you can win more games than not. There's definitely better ways to build this. So use my my skeleton here and go wild, and let me know what you come up with. But thanks for watching.